everyone, Daz here. Stay tuned to the end of this video for a pretty wicked announcement. I hope you enjoy. Round 6 is set to serve up an abundance of awesome football with a Carlton-St Kilda top 4 clash no one saw coming only 6 weeks ago. The traditional Anzac Day game, except Collingwood and Essendon are both top 4 for the first time since 2000 when this game has come on. We've got the grand final rematch, and both Melbourne and Richmond on Anzac Eve are going to need to bounce back. But there is a game that is not being talked about at all in the footy media that needs to be talked about at the moment, and it is a replay of last year's elimination final. Both Fremantle and the Western Bulldogs are not going well at all, and I'm putting it out there right now. Whoever loses this game will not play finals. Let's talk about why and who I think is going to win right now. With both teams sitting at 2 and 3, it is abundantly clear that to get the ledger to even, that being of course 3 and 3, is of the utmost importance. The Bulldogs will be travelling, and hey, they're not the worst side on the road, the Doggies, but Freo are needing to make themselves difficult to play at home, having already gone down at Optus Stadium to North Melbourne, although they should have won the game. Not because of the deliberate rule, but they should have won the game. However, they didn't. North were better on the night, and you've got to move on from these things. Now, both of these sides, like I mentioned, are 2 and 3, but a big gap in their percentage. Freo are frolicking at around the 100 mark, just below it at 99, but the Bulldogs are under 75 at the moment, and apart from 3/4 of the Brisbane game, I can't really think of a time in game where they've stood out and been amazing. Players-wise, yes, Tim English has been awesome. The Bont at different stages has been great, had a dozen clearances on the weekend, but there haven't really been times where all 22 Bulldogs listed players have put in a performance that tells you that the Dogs are a very good football team, apart from the Brisbane game. Yes, they were good when Jamara kicked 5 as well, not taking that away from them at all, but again, that was the Brisbane game. So, where can they go from here? An interstate trip and a win would be awesome for Bevo and his men, but Justin Longmuir, who is almost going to be under the same kind of pressure with a loss, while Justin Longmuir is going to need to get the Dockers to consecutive wins after getting the bejesus scared out of them by the Gold Coast Suns, led by Caleb Serong in the middle, and we will be talking about Caleb Serong in just a sec. But let's look at the two teams, what they do well, what they don't do well, and where the game is going to be won. Let's start with the Dockers, whose inside 50 and pressure numbers are outstanding, but the weird note for their clearances is that they are a top 6 team in both stoppage clearances and total clearances, but a pretty poor centre clearance team. Now, I think part of that is Andrew Brayshaw is horrifically out of form and starting on the wing in a lot of circumstances, a bit like Sam Walsh with Carlton, started on a wing and even a back pocket at stages throughout his development, but Andy B needs to be in that midfield. Now, whether that means Will Brodie has to sacrifice some centre bounces, who knows? Brodie was outstanding as the sub for the Dockers yesterday, but they are coming up against a Bulldogs midfield that if there is a way that the Bulldogs are going to beat teams, it is going to be because of their clearances. Now, the good news for the Dockers is their inside 50 differential is huge, and if Lachie Schultz, who is quietly becoming one of the more underrated players in the competition, is able to hit form and Michael Walters can continue his way of kicking goals after 4 last week, they're going to provide some problems. Now, those smalls are what is not working for the Bulldogs. Cody Waitman was undoubtedly the most effective forward for the Doggies last week, but hasn't played a lot of footy this year, and this tall forward experiment for the Dogs really hasn't worked at all. Look at these numbers. 17th for goals and 18th for marks inside 50 while still being a good clearance team. Kind of sums up the Dogs. Even in their 2016 premiership winning team, their forward line didn't really have any heroes in it. Yes, Tom Boyd was outstanding, and BT and Dennis's call of that goal is one of those rare two commentaries are as iconic as each other, but they've paid draft picks and good coin for this tall forward line that are going like an absolute busted at the moment. Clearance numbers are fine. If you're not getting it in your forward half, not giving your forwards a chance to win the game, and your forwards aren't taking chances to win the game, what have you got? Well, you've got a 2-3 team with a percentage under 75 and a coach that, if he really hasn't won a flag, I'd like to say would be out the door. But Ken got 10 years without a flag, but Port are playing for their coach. Right now, the Dogs are playing for survival. And that doesn't work in today's footy at all. But Freo aren't off the hook either. This chipping backwards and sideways that was a big criticism of Hawthorn teams from 2009 to about 2011. But this whole keepings off, sure, works if you've got Brennan Cox and Luke Ryan in your Supercoach teams, but in terms of results, that's not going to let Justin Longmuir keep his job. Now, the trajectory for the Dockers, in my opinion, is an upward one, and if they finally find a partner for Jai Amiss long term that is not Josh Tracy, because I think he could be a second ruck forward, but they've already got that in Luke Jackson. They really do need that tall forward who is a forward only to really complement them. But that's another story for another day. At the moment, the Dockers can win because of their small forwards, and the Bulldogs need more small forwards to work. I think they are missing Latham Vandermeer way more than anyone gives them credit for. The Dogs have got best 22 players that are out of form, and they've even got fringe players that are out of form. But it is no doubt, if you were comparing the top 5 best players for Freo and for the Bulldogs, we could argue all day over who's better. But it's the 6 to 10 that are going to decide this game. And in my opinion, that gives Fremantle the edge. Now, if the Bulldogs 1 to 5 are 4 of the 5 best players on the ground, they're going to win the game. It's as simple as that. But where are the scores going to come from? Freo have kicked over 100 points this season, and I think the Doggies have done it so far as well. But this game needs to be opened up, and opened up quickly. The more defensive this game becomes, the more panicky the players are going to become around the ball. Clearly, Fremantle are wanting to add extras at the stoppage. There is a reason why when it's even number v even number, aka the centre square, they're losing out on clearances. But around the ball, they are bringing extras to the stoppage and are hopefully beating their opponents back to goal, which is allowing Lockie Schultz, Sam Switkowski, Michael Walters, and the like to get on the scoreboard. I think Freo are going to win this game. That is my tip. And if the Bulldogs do lose this game, the heat for Bevo is going to be justified. And given that they've just re-signed him and they've never finished top 4, how long do you give a coach after a flag to right the ship? Well, it looks like it's going to be another 2 years. Is that the right thing for the Bulldogs? Might be for another video. But I think Freo are going to win this game, mainly because their midfield is going okay. Brayshaw might be a little bit out of form, but like I said, Brodie was awesome, but Caleb Sarong, just quietly, is top 5 in the Brownlow, in my opinion. I reckon he's earned 8 votes in his last 3 weeks, and it's because of these numbers. This young kid is 22 years old and just about ready to rip the absolute piss out of the AFL. So that's it, guys. What do you think? Comment below, let me know. But just before I go, that announcement. Daz Talks Footy, has a Patreon. If you would like to get involved, patreon.com/DazTalksFooty is the place to go if you want to subscribe and get bonus content. There are 2 tiers that you can join. You can become an All-Australian player, and that is supporting the channel in a small way with intermittent bonus content and all the shout-outs on YouTube and the socials that you could ask for. But if you want to become a premiership player at Daz Talks Footy, you can get 3 pieces of bonus content a week at a minimum. And this isn't when I get X amount, I'll start uploading content. No, my good people. There is content already there waiting for you. So if you want to sign up, patreon.com/Daz Talks Footy is where to go. The link will be in the description. And if you want to become part of the inner circle of the channel, that is the place to go. You guys are helping make a content creation dream come true. And I'm so thankful for the uptick that the channel has gotten in ways. And if you don't want to become a Patreon, that is okay. If you click that subscribe button, costs you nothing. You can still be a part of the Daz Talks Footy family, and make sure you like the video. If you like the video, I'm heading off now, guys. Enjoy your weekend. I hope your team has a win. Unless you barrack for the Crows, go the Hawks. See you soon. Goodbye.